Okay, so full transparency, I'm recording this on a Thursday morning for a Thursday release. I was initially going to maybe push it, but I was like, no, we're going to do what we said we're going to do. And that's just what it's going to be. Because between work and school and everything else that comes with life, we're making it work today. And I feel like my voice is a little raspy, so bear with me. I don't know what's going on. I don't feel sick, but I feel like I might. I've been teetering on getting sick this entire year, so and it hasn't happened, knock on wood. But we're just gonna you might hear me clear my throat times. So last time we did one of these, I shared what I was reading, watching, and listening to. This time around, it's a little bit more of a grab bag travel bucket list destination that's been sitting on my list for a pretty long time. Hot take on wedding makeup, a little chat about Penn State volleyball, a rewatch update on the iconic show Gilmore Girls, and somewhere in the middle of all of that, we're probably going to end up talking about soup, as one does naturally. So take your hard hat off, close up your laptop, and let's get into it. So if this is your first Off the Clock episode, welcome. The Monday episodes have a little more structure. They're still unfiltered, chaotic career stories about some shit. But these, but still a bit structured on a focused topic, something career related, engineering related. But these episodes are where we talk about other things going on in our lives, traveling, food, music, hobbies, whatever else happens to me on top of my mind that week. And today we're going to start things off with a place that I've wanted to visit for years. It's called Okinawa. People often call it the Hawaii of Japan. And ever since I heard that comparison, it's been stuck in my head. So I already know that I love Japan. I visited back in 2015 and it was amazing. Like, outerworldly, is that a word? It was amazing experience. The culture, the people, the diverse landscape of Japan, the city, the country, the design, the intention, the wellness, the lifestyle, everything was amazing. And then then I came back to Philly, and after a few years, whatever went by, and I met this Japanese woman in Philly at an event, and we started being friends. She seemed really cool, and she was here temporarily for an exchange program through her work, and we hit it off, and I ended up being pretty close friends with her. She introduced her to some of my friends. We actually ended up traveling to Quebec together months after that. But anyway, long story short, she's from Okinawa, and that's how, it kind of got on my radar. So it sounds like it's less about the city lights of Tokyo and busy train stations. It's more about beaches and islands, a slower pace, diving, and also it's actually one of the blue zones. So where people live a really long time. I think it's one of the longest living areas, those blue zones, and people are healthy and happy and very community focused. There's actually an episode on the Netflix series on blue zones on Okinawa, and yeah, it's really interesting. So The funny thing is that every time I start planning a trip back to Japan, I naturally gravitate towards the places that I already know and the ones that I already love. And Okinawa just keeps getting pushed to next time. And there's so many places in the world that I want to travel to, that I have traveled to. And yeah, so a lot of it isn't necessarily the destination, it's the logistics, it's the planning, the traveling time, getting everything lined up. I'm definitely more of a spontaneous person. My husband is kind of the opposite. No shade, but the yin and the yang. And so, like, but I'm getting we're kind of meeting each other halfway a little bit. So, but it's a long trek to get there. So you have to kind of be. The first time I went to Japan, well, the only time I went to Japan, it was like a 13-hour flight, I think, nonstop from DC. So yeah, you have to, like, when I went to Alaska with him like a few weeks ago, I didn't really plan that well and that wasn't even that long of a flight. It was like 7 hours to, we flew through Detroit, and then on the way home we flew through Atlanta. And I just, like, I didn't have things downloaded. I was in a middle seat, like, it was just a mess. So I think that's what got me thinking about, like, traveling, and next time I go on a long flight, I really need to have my shit together and not just kind of. Our trip to Alaska came up really soon, it felt like, just with work and school and stuff. So it was very, like, last last minute, like, day before, and then we got our dog all situated as well. So anyway, yeah, it's Okinawa, though. Back to that, I would really love to go someday, and it's definitely on the list. I also know that Japan is really a great spot for skiing and snowboarding. So my husband and I are definitely eyeing that up. That would be cool to go, like, ski for a bit and then go to Okinawa. So that would be really cool. But I heard it's like there's some really good powder there. So we're definitely eyeing up where we want to go to next for our, like, a bigger ski trip. We tend to do that like every 2 years. So into Austria and Switzerland last year last year, yeah, for our honeymoon. And then 2 years before that, I went to Breckenridge, Colorado. So we're, like, eyeing up where to go next. So if you're listening to this and you're a skier or snowboarder and you're like, yo, you gotta go to this place, let me know. Comment in the chat and in the comments below, and just, yeah, let me know. Let me know where I should go. Mont Tremblant is on our list. My husband went there before we met. During right at the beginning of COVID, he went to Mont Tremblant. Like, literally, they had to leave early because everything shut down. So, oh my alarm's going off. Whatever. This is just a rock and roll podcast. We're just letting it rip today. We're not really gonna edit much. So if you're looking for a really polished episode, it's not happening today. So yeah, so Mont Tremblant's up there. I want to go to Big Sky someday in Wyoming. There's a lot of things on our list. So anyway. So another, like, slightly related topic on traveling is someone recently asked me what my favorite city was. And honestly, I don't know if I have a definitive answer because, and I was thinking more US, not necessarily abroad. I mean, Philly, obviously, like, I'm from Philly, so I can't answer that, but I do like San Francisco. I went there years ago on a family vacation, And then I went twice for work when I worked for the Navy. We had a vendor um, who was in Benicia, California, like about an hour north of San Francisco. And I went there. They were upgrading one of their pieces of machinery for us, and I went up there twice. One to like check out the initial design, and then the second time to go through like the final design. So I stayed in San Francisco and then drove just like every day the hour. I think it was actually under an hour, but whatever. So I do like San Francisco. I like visiting New York, but I would never live there. And that might be an unpopular opinion, but and then I was also thinking I've been to LA when I used to um, travel to San Diego for my Navy work very often. I practically lived there. And one time I was there for like a month and a half, and I went up to LA for a weekend and made it like a little weekend thing. And I went to Santa Monica, and I really like Santa Monica. That was like more my vibe than like Beverly Hills and Hollywood and all that stuff. So, anyway, I love to hear what cities you guys like. So, feel free to put them in the chat. Maybe I'm missing some cities that I've been to that I really like, but yeah, feel free to share what your favorites are. So, speaking of things that I've loved for a long time, I was thinking the other day, so the Tower Theater in Philly, I think I heard that's shutting down. And it takes me back to like my first concert ever, which was when I think I was like 8 years old or something. And I went to see Pat Metheny, who's a jazz guitarist. And my parents are huge music fans. My mom definitely more than my dad, but my mom has like influenced my dad. So now he's a big music person. And my mom is like all over the place with music, but she's also like a very big jazz person. And so she introduced my brother and I to Pat Metheny growing up. So listening to his music is like very nostalgic for me. So yeah, so RIP to the Tower. And it's funny, years ago I was at a networking event at this bar in Philly, and I met this dude who worked for Pat Metheny as his like assistant or something like that. But that was kind of a cool full circle moment for me. And then that leads me to as that being my first concert ever. I remember my brother and I were like laughing at him because he had this like really wild hair. As an 8-year old, it looked wild. Like now as an adult, it's like whatever. But he he had like this long kind of frizzy like hair, and then he always wore striped shirts. So we used to always associate him with that, and I don't know, that was kind of funny. But yeah, so I think speaking of concerts, I know like I used to go to concerts all the time. I've been to so many and have had some great experiences. My brother was a music journalist for a long time, and like he always used to get me into shows, and sometimes we would sneak in too, but you know, whatever. That was way before a lot of security protocols are now in place. But yeah, I think one of my favorite shows, I saw U2 a few times. I saw them in, I don't know, I think it was when I was in high school, and I really liked their 360 tour, I think what it was. And we got lucky because we were sitting way up in the nosebleeds, and this was like me and my parents, and there was this whole section like below us by a lot, like just off of the stage, on the right side of the stage if you're looking at it. And the like security people and ushers, they were like, do you guys want to go down? Like, they're not going to be there. Like, no one's there. Their comp tickets or whatever. If you want to go further down, feel free to do that. So we went down there, and it was just like a really cool experience because it was a great concert already, but then going to like being that close up and personal was even better. So I thought that was really fun. But yeah, so lately, like I was talking about during the episode one, I talked all about how country music is just like living rent free in my head right now. I talked a lot about Ella Langley, Casey Musgraves, Miranda Lambert, all like Lainey Wilson, all like the bad bitches of the country music genre. So you already know that they're all getting a lot of airtime. One of my newest discoveries is this artist, I think called Angel. I don't know if it's On Hell or Angel, but Hannah Franklin from Peloton kind of introduced me to him. And he also was on a song that for the World Cup, they did a song called Blessings. And I think it was his original, but then they like remade it for the World Cup. So yeah, it was kind of cool. And she played it during her um during one of her rides, like the remixed one. And then I checked out the artist more, like his solo stuff. And then so going back, so the World Cup song Blessings is a song by Stormzy, Friday, and Angel. And Stormzy I like a lot too. So like these are some really good artists. And on Angel, there's a song that I like by him called Call Me. So that's kind of been on repeat a lot. It's like a slow jam. And oh, I've also been listening to Lily Allen's album West End Girl. That was really, I mean, that came out last year and I was a huge fan of it. And then I kind of been listening to it again. So it's definitely giving Beyonce Lemonade. And I know, I mean, that's not an original thought, but yeah, she really goes there for talking about her ex-husband and like it's just very raw, very honest, and yeah, I really liked it, and I like how different each song is, and yeah, she's really good. She's great. I like that album a lot. Okay, so back to food for a second because I really need to talk about soup. It is August 27th, and I already made soup already. I think last week sometime I made soup because it was raining and cold, like cold for August. And I was like, it's time. We're pulling up the timeline because I'm kind of over summer. I mean, I love summer, but I don't like really love it right now. It is freaking humid as hell in Philly and it's cooling down. Like the mornings are around 55. So that's been great. But okay, so back to food for a second. So I really love butternut squash soup. And then I also like just like a simple vegetable soup that I puree. I also love chili with ground beef and like veggies and beans and stuff like that's just so good. And so one thing that some YouTuber, I forget who it was, they suggested roasting all the things first, like the veggies and the squash and all that. Potatoes. Sometimes I put potato in there. So roasting the onions, the garlic, really like that brings out so much more flavor before you add the broth. So I've also been putting rosemary in about everything. And yeah, it's just become a really nice herb and spice to like keep in my kitchen. So yeah, so blending it all together. Sometimes I'll do like schoolwork and stuff in the kitchen while I'm cooking. I don't cook every night. My husband cooks too. And recently we've been doing like takeout and stuff just because work and school, our lives are a little cuckoo. Cookie dukes, as my boss was. My boss uses that word, kooky dukes, and it's kind of funny. But yeah, so last year I bought a handheld immersion blender and that thing is shit. And I'm not like pushing buying anything, commercialism, blah blah blah, but like a regular blender is just fine. And Vitamix, anything that can handle like heat. But immersion blender just makes it like the cleanup a lot easier and like transferring everything from like into the blender is just like tricky. So I really like the immersion blender and I think it was like $30 or something. Best money, best money. And I like putting just like so Giant, I go there for groceries most of the time. We shop at Giant because fuck Wegmans. And that's a whole other tangent, but they were video recording and selling data without letting customers know. And we have been faithful Wegmans shoppers and they can. All right, I won't go there today. But anyway, we've been shopping at Giant. They have this like rustic, like anything that's like a really like hearty bread. That is my jam right there. And then put it with some soup. Yes, that is amazing. So, if any of you love soup just as much as me and can talk about it for what 15 minutes nonstop, then let me know what your favorite soup is in the comments. Speaking of comfort food, one last thing before we get into a hot take on wedding makeup, because I have a lot of things to say about that. I think hummus deserves a mention here. Honestly, I could eat that thing with vegetables, pita, crackers. I sometimes eat it straight out of the thing with a spoon. My husband thinks I'm unhinged. But yeah, no shame here. I love hummus. And I like making it too, like when I have time. You know, for anyone who's watched Only Murders in the Building and what's his name's Alan Short's character who loves dips, I felt so seen. I truly felt so seen when he was like, I just love dips. And yeah, he wrote that in just for me. Okay, so this one's been sitting with me for a while, so let's get into it. A few years ago, when we were planning our wedding, I did a makeup trial with an artist who came highly recommended. And they came to our house. My mom was there, my mother-in-law was there. We made it like a whole thing. They got their makeup done. And it wasn't like the makeup was bad. I mean, like there were some areas that they didn't really blend in, but it just wasn't me. Like it didn't feel like she really listened to what I was asking for. And I was like, I don't want a lot on. Like I want it very natural. I want it glowy. I want very minimal, but just elevated. And it looked not good at all. Like I absolutely hated it. And it was just, there's so much on. And my mom's looked the same way. My mother-in-law's looked amazing. Like her hair and because we did hair and makeup trial. Hers looked really good. But you know, I had to tell them no thank you. And I felt like the business owner was really pushing me. And that's what I hate about wedding planning too, is they make you seem like you have to make these decisions so quickly, and that if you don't, someone else is going to take your spot. And I think that is bullshit. And yeah, sometimes that's true, especially with like venues and stuff. But we got married in Philly off season, so in November, like near Thanksgiving, right before Thanksgiving. So it was like off season, and I wasn't gonna fall for any of that crap. So yeah, and I was just like, I sent her a pretty, what I thought, direct and professional message. And then she sent me this like 10-minute voice recording of like how she was doing me a favor by having my mom and mother-in-law, but like I never asked you to do me a favor. I paid for it. I paid for them to like, you could have said no. So like it was just very strange. It was like very defensive and unfortunate and kind of a shitty experience, but whatever. Anyway, so after a lot of thought, I took my mom's advice. So we went to this Ulta, which happened to be right near my dress alteration shop, and I got a makeup lesson instead, which looking back, I think was very practical too, because that'll be a skill like for the future, like even after the wedding. So the woman who did my makeup, she really got me. I told her I wanted natural looking makeup that really enhanced my skin, nothing really heavy. And she recommended, this is not an ad or anything, but she recommended Chanel's Beige Beige line, which I still use to this day, along with a few other products. And for my eyes, I told her like something a little shimmery and sparkly, but like subtle, with this like soft glow and nothing dramatic. So for me, I feel like people always tell brides that they need to put heavy makeup on because of the photos. And I think that's really messed up, because unless it's something that genuinely concerns you, I mean, of course, like you want your photos to look nice, like no doubt. But I also wanted to look like myself to my husband, like the one he fell in love with. So not this like super airbrushed, like caked on makeup, heavy makeup. Like I didn't want that. I wanted to look like myself. And if that's your jam, then go off, like do that. Do whatever you think is right for you and what you want. And that's what this podcast is all about, like doing things in your own terms. Because I think there's just like a lot of unspoken and spoken pressure of like, how are you getting your makeup done? And who's doing it? And like, blah, blah, blah. I just think that's like, we don't need to give in to that pressure. We need to think more inward of like what we want and say like, fuck everything else. It's really hard though. It's really hard. So yeah. And then for hair, I got it highlighted and trimmed a few weeks before my wedding by my hairstylist, who I've been going to for a few years. And then I flat ironed it myself. I actually was going to do like a dry bar blowout, but I ended up canceling it and then just doing my own hair again. And all the bridesmaids got together and ready in our hotel. Everyone did their own makeup and hair, and they ended up doing each other's, which was really nice. So anyway, the takeaway, if there's a takeaway in here somewhere, it's this. Don't feel pressure to do something a certain way just because it's what everyone else does. Like, you literally are allowed to rewrite your path. It's your face, it's your hair, it's your life. Like, it's hard to live really authentically, but like, it's okay. Get a lesson if you need to. Like, I'm genuinely thinking like that. I think my mom was genius. So, Penn State volleyball season is kicking off soon, and I could not be more excited. I'm a big fan, and honestly, when I was there for undergrad, I went to more volleyball games than football games, which I know is probably a very big controversial thing to admit in state college. My brother, who also went to Penn State, is also a really big fan as well, along with my sister-in-law, who didn't go to Penn State, but she's along for the ride, and she's very much a fan. And my niece is already playing volleyball. She's like about to be 3 years old in a week, and yeah, so we watch it on Big Ten Network, and it's been really fun. So my husband and I went to a game in person last year. So we went on a road trip to upstate New York, and like we went to Ithaca and the Finger Lakes and some parts of New Hampshire and Vermont. And we actually stopped in State College on the drive home. And that was the first time I had been back since I graduated in 2013. And it was like very nostalgic and weird and good all at the same time. Not much had changed except somehow they got a Target. They got a Target now, which I'm like, come on. That would have been amazing to have when I was a student there. And it was like nostalgic and weird because I thought like some of my college friends were gonna like just randomly be there at the same time, and we were all gonna be like, "Oh my god, how are you?" Blah blah blah. But obviously that didn't happen. But yeah, they're also the what's it called building? Hammond building? Is that right? The one engineering one that's like freaking atrocious looking and like falling apart. I think they were getting ready to redo that and renovate it or tear it down or something. So that's promising. I think they also got a new engineering building since I had been there. I think I saw some updates or something. So, but yeah, so last season for volleyball didn't go so great. They actually finished in, I think, last place or second to last place, which really stung after winning a national championship not that long before. I think it was the year prior. There were some there were some injuries, and one of their star players stepped away earlier in the season for mental health reasons, which obviously I completely respect. I do hope she's getting whatever support she needs. I was reading that she transferred to another school. So here's hoping the season turns around. I mean, I love Kennedy Martin. She's amazing. She's like a complete beast. And yeah, the coach is really inspiring too. So now turning topics, kind of completely unrelated but related because it's like fall themed. I'm rewatching Gilmore Girls, which feels like the umpteenth time. And fall is generally the best time to watch it. If you know, you know. Comment below if you're a Gilmore fan. I mean, it's an iconic show. My brother is a Gilmore guy because my sister-in-law is a mega fan, and it's just great. It is just a very wholesome, amazing, iconic, legendary show. And there's really no bad time to watch it, but something about fall just like hits differently. And okay, so for people who are Gilmore fans, I mean the go-to question is, are you team Dean, Jess, or Logan? I'm team Jess, and but I'll caveat that very specific version of Jess. Jess 2.0. After he like comes back from Philly, or he was like a writer and like he comes back, not like his bad boy era, his like matured era. Dean is definitely a hard no for me. I mean, like, he really needs to work on regulating his emotions. And Logan, I mean, that's just a no because he's just too entitled for me. And I've never been able to really get past the whole Ace thing. Like, how he has a nickname for her called Ace. Like, it gives me the same weird feeling as when Big calls Carrie kid in Sex in the City. It's just, I don't know. It just kind of weirds me out a little bit. So, whatever. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I mean, I love Lorelai. I love Suki. Their friendship is so amazing. And I also want to read the book on the mom. I think the actress has a memoir. I kind of want to read that. It's I forget the name of it. It's kind of a catchy name, but yeah, Emily has a book. So I kind of want to read that. But yeah. And then there's the whole thing with, is Luke right for Lorelai? Is Christopher? So that's a topic for next time. And that wraps up Off the Clock for this week. So now you know what's been on my mind lately. I've been dreaming about Okinawa. Soup season is officially underway. My wedding makeup hot take. Penn State volleyball. Gilmore Girls. One of the things that I like most about these episodes is that, they really remind us that we're more than just our jobs. We all have favorite places and foods and hobbies, hot takes, these like little things and big things that we're excited about outside of work. So keep sending recommendations and what you're into, books, music, TV shows, restaurants, travel, like whatever you've got. Again, also let me know, are you Team Dean, Jess, Logan? I need to know that I'm not alone here. I mean, I know how my brother and my sister-in-law feel. They are Team Jess 2.0 as well. So, yeah. And I'll be back Monday with our regularly scheduled programming. We have some really exciting episodes coming up. And we're talking, like industry changes and mentorship and embarrassing stories at work because I got a lot of them. So, yeah, until then, take the hard hat off because you are off the clock. Thanks so much for listening.